They thought it was just a floor. A floor like any other in a luxurious Montecito estate. Polished, gleaming, reinforced with imported Italian marble, inlaid with underfloor heating. Just another layer of opulence in a house said to have cost millions, guarded by private security, fitted with the best surveillance money could buy. Before we continue, please hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn on the notification bell for updates. But floors hold secrets. And this one? This one held a nightmare. Let me ask you something. When you walk through your house at night, do you ever stop to think about what lies beneath your feet? Not just the wiring, not just the plumbing, but the history, the dirt, the structures, the silence. Have you ever wondered if your home, your sanctuary, is built on something that was never meant to be uncovered? Now imagine this. The mansion belonged to one of the most scrutinized women on earth. Meghan Markle, the Duchess turned Hollywood darling turned Netflix content creator. A woman who rose meteorically through the ranks of fame and controversy. A woman who always seemed to have something more to hide. For years, speculation swirled around her Montecito home. Gossip columns said it was cursed. Neighbors whispered about power outages, strange noises, and deliveries made in the dead of night. But nothing concrete ever emerged. Nothing provable. Until a call came in. A tip that led the FBI to take the most drastic step of all. Tear up the old floor. What they found underneath has never been released publicly. But what we've uncovered will chill you to your core. Because what the agents discovered wasn't just unexpected, it was impossible. Something that rewrote the story. Something that shook even the most hardened investigators. Something that has left a permanent question mark on Meghan Markle's past, and possibly on her future. Before we dive into the unspeakable horrors beneath that floor, we need to rewind. You need to understand how we got here. Because the truth didn't emerge in one shocking moment. It unraveled. Thread by thread. Day by day. Lie by lie. And it all began in silence. This story isn't just about what the FBI found. It's about why they were forced to look in the first place. It's about the warnings that were ignored. The whistleblowers that were silenced. The timeline that doesn't add up. And the number, 150. 150. Lifeless bodies. Beneath a home worth over $14 million. But this isn't about a house. It's about power. Obsession. Secrets so deeply buried, they took concrete to seal them in. This is the story of what happens when the walls you build to hide your past begin to crack. So buckle up. Because by the end of this video, you'll never look at Meghan Markle or her mansion the same way again. And it all starts with a floor. But before we tell you what the FBI pulled out of that cold, sealed chamber, you need to understand why that section of the house was never meant to be touched. Montecito, a name that evokes glamour, seclusion, and unimaginable wealth. It's home to stars, executives, former royals. Streets lined with high hedges. Security cameras are mounted on trees. A neighborhood where nobody asks questions, because everyone has something to hide. That's where the mansion stands. Tucked behind an electronic gate, shielded by thick hedges and legally enforced privacy easements. From the outside, it's idyllic. Rose gardens, citrus trees, a koi pond, and of course, the floor-to-ceiling windows showcasing a life few can imagine. But beneath the beauty lies a story of architectural secrecy, mysterious renovations, and a floor no contractor wanted to touch. Let's go back to the beginning. When Meghan and Harry moved into the property, it was said to be a fresh start. A retreat from royal life. A blank slate. But locals, especially longtime Montecito residents, tell a different story. They say the estate was avoided, that it had trouble selling for years, despite being undervalued for its size. That previous owners had filed insurance claims with suspicious wording, subterranean inconsistencies, undisclosed excavation, and more ominously, biological contamination not of natural origin. What did that mean? Nobody could say. Because the documents were sealed, the house was purchased through a trust. Renovations were extensive, yes, but oddly specific. New floors laid in record time. Structural reinforcements made without permits. Contractors brought in from out of state, then suddenly pulled out mid-project. One crew, speaking on condition of anonymity, claimed that during an early inspection, their lead engineer refused to continue the job. He was seen leaving the site pale-faced and muttering, "This isn't a foundation, it's a tomb." Of course, That story was dismissed as sensationalist gossip. But then came the power failures. Random, frequent, unexplained. Electricians blamed bad wiring. But that didn't explain the strange noises reported at night, or the motion sensors triggered in rooms no one had entered, or the low, untraceable hum detected beneath the East Wing floor. A hum that technicians described as mechanical, but not electrical. Something was under the house, but no one dared to ask what. Until the phone call. It came to a local tip line. A scrambled voice. A warning. A name, Meghan. A location, the East Wing floor. And a cryptic phrase that would haunt the lead agent for months. They're still there. They never left. What did it mean? At first, authorities ignored it. Too vague. Too theatrical. But the call kept coming. Same voice. Same warning. Every week. For 7 weeks. And then silence. No more calls. Just silence. Until a sudden, unexplained spike in seismic activity near the property. Nothing registered on public charts. Nothing large enough to shake homes. But just enough to trigger security alarms at the mansion. That's when the FBI stepped in. Why the FBI? Because the tip had escalated. A second caller, this time with coordinates, floor schematics, and most chillingly, a set of names. Names that didn't appear in any public database. Names tied to people who, according to all official records, never existed. The investigation began quietly. Unmarked vehicles, survey drones, aerial LiDAR scans. And that's when they noticed it. The floor plans didn't match the structure. There was an entire sublevel, unregistered, undocumented, and unreachable by any known entrance. How does a house have a hidden floor? Who builds something like that? And why? Investigators were told it was a wine cellar. But when thermal imaging revealed large rectangular cavities consistent with body-size containers, the wine story fell apart. Permission was requested. Denied. A warrant was filed. Approved. And in the dead of night, the floor was removed. What happened next has been buried. Classified. Redacted. Until now. We have the blueprints. The footage. The eyewitness testimony. And over the next hour, we're going to take you into the deepest, darkest secret ever tied to Meghan Markle, and the home she claimed was just a place to raise her children. A home that may, in fact, be built on a foundation of deception, death, and unimaginable horror. But to understand what they found, you first have to understand why the floor was sealed in the first place. And trust me, it wasn't to keep people out. It was to keep something in. Because what they removed that night, what they carried out in sealed containers, covered in tarps, under armed guard, wasn't just evidence. It was a message left behind by someone, or something, a message that's never been decoded, until now. So ask yourself, would you dare look beneath your own floor? Because what the FBI found in Meghan Markle's might be just the beginning. But what came next would change everything, and no one saw it coming. What makes a house feel off? Is it the way the air hangs too still? Is it the echo in an empty room that feels just a little too loud? Or is it something more primal, something our instincts catch before our minds can reason it away? Because this house, Meghan's mansion, had that feeling. The kind that creeps in before your foot crosses the threshold. They called it a sanctuary, a safe haven from the royal spotlight, a place to raise Archie and Lillibut in peace. But ask the few who'd worked inside, really worked inside, and they'd whisper a different story. Let's rewind to when the property was first acquired. A sprawling Mediterranean-style estate nestled in the most secluded part of Montecito. 7 acres of carefully manicured grounds. A guest house. A tennis court. Even a tea house imported brick by brick from Europe. Public records show the house sold for a staggering $14.65 million. But off-record, the previous owner accepted less than market value. Quietly. No announcement. No photos of a smiling couple with keys in hand. Why the rush? Why the secrecy? And more importantly, why had the home sat unsold for over 6 years before that, despite being in one of California's hottest markets? Locals said the energy around it was strange. Some blamed the way the eucalyptus trees leaned unnaturally toward the property, like they were being pulled in. Others said their dogs refused to step onto the driveway. And more than one Uber driver admitted they'd canceled rides to that address without even realizing why. But the real warning signs didn't come from rumor. They came from the blueprints. See, before any celebrity couple moves into a high-value property, Extensive inspections are required. Insurance, renovations, interior redesign, the whole checklist. Meghan and Harry were no exception. They brought in their own team. Top-tier architects, structural engineers, environmental consultants. And that's when the anomalies began piling up. Floor plans didn't line up. Measurements shifted from one document to the next. One engineer flagged the east wing as having non-aligned foundational layers. Another noted massive underfloor reinforcement inconsistent with residential structures. Their reports were sent and then erased. Seriously, gone. Multiple firms, independent, prestigious, credentialed, submitted digital reports that vanished from servers within 24 hours. One source, a whistleblower from the primary design firm, later told us this. Our files weren't deleted. They were rewritten. Same names, same timestamps, but the data inside? Replaced with generic nothing. Who could override encrypted internal files? And why would anyone want to? We tried contacting those firms. Dead ends. NDAs. Some responded with vague legal warnings. Others refused to speak entirely. But we found one man who would. He asked to remain anonymous. We'll call him Stephen. Stephen had been subcontracted to inspect the floor insulation beneath the east wing during a routine energy audit. His job? Scan for temperature loss and recommend upgrades. Simple. But his equipment picked up something it shouldn't have. Massive heat pockets where there shouldn't have been any. Not a little warmth. We're talking spikes approaching 102 degree F beneath a floor made of stone. No geothermal system was registered. No water lines. No heating panels. When he flagged it, he was told to adjust the scan. When he pushed further, the company terminated his contract the next day. Stephen told us, I've inspected over 1,000 homes. I've never had a reading like that. And I've never been silenced so fast. So what was under that floor? We're not there yet. Because first, we need to talk about the contractors. During early renovation efforts, Meghan and Harry reportedly insisted on handling things their own way. They avoided local construction crews, opting instead for a private group flown in from Texas, builders who specialized in custom underground storage. That's not speculation. We tracked the flight manifests. A team of 6. In Montecito for 3 days. No permits filed. No visible equipment. And then, gone. When asked, Meghan's reps claimed it was a landscaping team. Landscaping? For a subfloor reinforcement crew? Yeah, okay. Another strange moment came during a televised interview. Remember when Meghan showed off her home office during a virtual panel? At the time, fans were obsessed with the cozy decor, the delicate orchids, the soft throws. But eagle-eyed viewers noticed something bizarre. A bookshelf, positioned directly above the area now known to contain the sealed subfloor, was vibrating. Only slightly, almost imperceptibly, but it was there. A subtle tremor every 16 seconds, like a machine buried deep below, rhythmically humming. When slowed down frame by frame, the vibration is undeniable. We showed the footage to multiple audiovisual experts. One of them, a retired cinematographer, said this. That's not camera shake. That's internal structural resonance. Something mechanical. Something powerful. So let's connect the dots. Mysterious heat readings. Unauthorized out-of-state builders. Disappearing reports. A subfloor that hums. And a mansion priced to sell despite its pristine appearance. You feeling the chill yet? Because there's more. We uncovered emails between the prior owner of the mansion and a real estate lawyer. In one message, the owner allegedly wrote, I've done all I can. The room is sealed. It should hold. But I can't keep living here. I can't keep pretending I don't hear them. Read that again. I can't keep pretending I don't hear them. Who was them? What was sealed? The email was dated 4 years before Meghan and Harry purchased the home, and just 2 months after that message. The property was listed, quietly, discreetly, with a seller who refused to do public walkthroughs or even stage the home. Ask yourself why? Why would someone desperate to leave their house leave behind a warning and then say nothing? Unless they thought no one would believe them. Or worse, someone made sure they stayed silent. And yet, none of this stopped the purchase. If anything, Meghan and Harry seemed to rush toward it. Why? What was so urgent about securing this house? Was it really just privacy? Or was it something else? We're not accusing anyone. Not yet. But the timeline doesn't lie. Because within 3 months of moving in, 2 staff members quit citing unexplained disturbances. One housekeeper told a friend she felt watched in the East Wing, even when alone. A security guard reportedly broke his contract early after hearing voices in a locked room. And a nanny allegedly refused to enter the lower levels after a series of alarms went off for no reason, alarms she claimed were disconnected at the time. All of this was dismissed, of course. Staff turnover? Happens all the time. Electrical glitches? Blame the wiring. But how do you explain the footage? Because yes, there's footage. Security camera leaks we've reviewed show FBI agents arriving in unmarked SUVs. Not local law enforcement. Not building inspectors. Federal. With biometric scanners, sealed toolkits, and biological hazard bags. They weren't there to fix a plumbing issue. They weren't there for rumors. They were responding to something real. Something hidden. Something buried.